What's going on, gentlemen? Back again with another video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about a bunch of different things pertaining to meditation, how that led me into semen retention, and your breathing and how important your breathing is, and what I've learned through 6 years of daily meditation. All right, so starting off with how it led me into semen retention was when I was 23, I started meditating. And I slowly started to realize, it really didn't take long. Within the first year of me beginning to meditate, maybe the first 6 months, I started to realize that me watching porn and jerking off was a big problem. And I became sensitive enough to notice the loss of energy that I had. That I felt like I was sad, I had more anxiety, I had less energy, I was less extroverted. I felt, dull and kind of dead. And I would run, I would meditate, I would do whatever it took to feel more alive, because I didn't like that feeling. But I began to notice how I was drained of energy at 23. So I knew there was a problem. Also, when I started to meditate, I had back pain. My lower back was stiff. And up here, my neck and upper back hurt because I had bad posture. I was a rat. And when I would meditate, right, my posture over time just became perfect. Just perfectly straight, and my back pain went away. Now, I knew before I started meditating that having back pain at 23 meant that there was a problem, but I had no idea what the problem was. Turns out I was just extremely stressed at 23, like I shouldn't have been. But this is the world we live in. We live in the modern world, raised in modern society, and it's put us in a place where we feel very strange, and we don't even know that we feel strange. There's a subconscious piece of us that knows that something is wrong, but we almost think, not almost, maybe almost, yeah, we almost think that it's normal. Right? There was a piece of me that knew something was wrong, but it was like, everybody has back pain too. I just knew that it was a problem at 23. So I'm meditating. When I was 24, I had a girlfriend for a little while. I broke up with her because it was the same thing. She was just like, I became real sensitive of her vibe, right? I was never like that before, where I was like real sensitive to someone's vibe and like where they were actually at. I was always just an extremely positive person and outgoing, so everybody was like, whatever, I'll talk to anybody. But I became real sensitive to like her high levels of anxiety and also how over sexualized she was. It was weird being around her with like how, I don't know. It just became weird. Before I started meditating, it was fine. That was how I thought my interaction with her was supposed to be, was just completely sexual all the time. And so I broke up with her, right? Because I'm not a pussy, and I'm not going to stay around a fucking woman that, is just fucking weird and all on my fucking nerves. And I didn't get another girlfriend for like a year, 2 years, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And I just spent that entire time just meditating, zoning in, locking in. And all throughout that time, I was overcoming like personal issues. When I first started meditating, I got real sad and I beat myself up a lot for how stupid I had been and all the people that I had hurt, right? But I couldn't even see that I was hurting people until I started meditating. Once I realized who I am as a person, as a natural born leader, of someone that people just follow, whether I want them to or not, if my vibe wasn't right and I was on some fucked up shit, I influenced everyone around me. And I could see it when I started meditating. I could see how I was a negative influence on people in the past and people I was currently around. So I beat myself up over that a lot. And I was real sad. And, whatever. Some people have to go through that. Some people don't. But that was a phase of my life that I had to overcome that. And then I got real angry. I was pissed off all the fucking time, dude. Because I felt duped by the system. It was not even I knew that I had been duped by the system, and I didn't want to be duped by the system. I was addicted to porn, weed, and junk food. And I had to break all of these addictions, and I did it with a bunch of anger. Pissed off as a young fucking man, fucking 25, working through that shit. From 25 to 27. And by 27, I got in a roll. I'm 29 now, and I've meditated the whole time through this. So when I was 23, the path I was headed down in life, I knew that I was going to be dead in about 5 years, and it was going to be from a drug overdose. I could just see it. I knew I had the picture in my mind. It just flashed into my mind one day, and I knew that day was coming. And I thought about my family, I thought about my parents and everybody that depends on me, and how sad and disappointed they would be that was my life, right? That wasn't supposed to be my life. So I started meditating every single day shortly after that. Like, I locked it the fuck in and did it every single day because I didn't know what else to do to change. And praise God I was led that way into meditation, because I've never stopped. I've literally never stopped. It's been 6 years, and I open my eyes and I'm like, holy shit, it's been 6 years that I've been meditating every single fucking day. Now, I might miss a day or two or just take a day off sometimes, but it's been more of a habit than working out. I can truly say that. I've meditated more days over the last 6 years than I've worked out. And everything in life is contained in your mind. Right? So, most people know this, like from when they were children, that they could create everything in their lives. Okay, so now I'm going to move into how meditation pertains to your breathing, and then stick around until the end of the video. I'm going to tell you all about a dream that I had recently. So when it comes to your breathing and when you meditate, at least what I learned on Headspace was just to focus on my breath. And that's truly what I would recommend to everyone, is to get to a place where you can focus on your breath in silence. Because a lot of you will come to realize that's extremely difficult for you to sit down. You might try to sit down like me and do 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is difficult. Some people, it's going to be fucking easy. But at the place in life that I was in when I started meditating, 5 minutes was difficult. The most difficult part was to make myself sit down. After I sat down, it became pretty easy to sit there and do the meditation. But the essential point of it is to just focus on your breath. And over time, you get better at focusing on your breath. That it's like a muscle. And so when you sit down, you can move yourself into a state of meditation intentionally. And you can move yourself deeper, faster by fully focusing on your breath. Your breathing, right? In the Bible, it says God breathed the breath of life into man. We were made in the image of God, right? So we have these God-like characteristics of the breath of life, of being made in the image of God, of having the Word like God. In the beginning, there was the Word. So you need to breathe like a God. You need to imagine, what came to mind when I said that? What did you imagine in your mind that a God would breathe like? That's how you need to breathe. Our breathing, anything that takes your breathing off, that takes your attention off of your breath, you'll realize it's a lot of things. It's too many things that take your attention off of your breath or make your breathing pattern more erratic. On top of that, we've got COVID, which was a respiratory infection. Your breathing is being attacked. We've got chemtrails in the sky. If you look up chemtrails on Wikipedia, it still tells you that they're fucking fake and they're not real and it's plain exhaust. But if you look up cloud seeding, they'll tell you that they're dumping the chemicals out for geoengineering and it's a fucking billionaire being paid by the US government to do it, to dump these fucking chemicals. One of them is silver iodine. So silver and salt, metal and rocks dumped into the sky to make fake clouds. But this stuff, this is unnatural shit that is always in the atmosphere and you are always breathing it in. So first, before they started cloud seeding, we started moving into homes with asbestos, right? They found out that asbestos was bad and you can't breathe in that shit. There's mold in people's homes. You can't be breathing that shit in either. You can't have spores in the air. Breathing that in, it's not good for you. But we're breathing in stale, unrecycled, non-fresh air inside of buildings. This window is cracked. The most it'll crack, like this much. It's retarded. Can't even open it all the way. So all of that is affecting your sinuses, right? Your sinuses are like in here, your nose, and up through here, right? Right behind here is your fucking brain. And so your breathing becomes extremely important to your brain. Think about like how much food you eat, how much water you drink. It's less than how much you breathe. Your breathing converts into like ATP for the energy for the cells of your body. That comes from your breathing. So your whole energy level is tailored mostly off of your breathing, not your fucking food or water. It's your breathing. So this is what I've learned through my time in meditation. I've been able to see the modern world and how it affects our sinuses and our lungs and our abilities to breathe. If you're young and you have a vape, you have got to quit that shit. It is literally making you retarded. You have got to put a vape down. That shit is so toxic for your lungs. Water vapor mixed with a bunch of chemicals. It is terrible for your lungs. Smoking weed. Too many cigars. Smoking weed is worse than a cigar. Smoking a cigarette is worse than a cigar. And getting COVID is worse than a cigar. Right? So, you have that, staying inside, the chemtrails in the sky. There's wildfires going on all the time. Everything is affecting your breathing, which is the breath of life that God has breathed into you, that you have within yourself. Meditating is naturally going to train you to stay focused on your breath, and you'll realize the same things that I have just within yourself. No one has to tell you, right? Like, I know the scriptures. I grew up in a Catholic church. I started meditating at 23. I'm 29 now, and I understand the verse about the breath of life and being made into the image of God. All of a sudden, it's like I get it within myself that like, okay, yeah, if I can just stay focused on my breath all day, as much as possible, I can create what I want from life. Why is nobody not telling us that? It's so simple. Why is nobody telling us that? That if you just can stay focused on your breath all day, you will create what you want in life. So one time when I was like 26, I was walking to sit down to meditate. And as I was getting to the spot I was going to sit down at, I had been focused on my breath for like a day and a half. Just the whole time. The whole time. That first day, I knew that I was so focused on my breath all day. And then the next day I woke up and I was focused on my breath. And then I started to lose it. So I was sat down to meditate for 20 minutes. And I realized that if I am focused on my breath, I can always know what God wants me to do. That was it. I can always know what I need to do. So people will tell you, present moment, be in the present. They'll say that. The way you get in the present is by staying with your breath. Every moment, all the time, as much as you possibly can, if you can stay with your breath, you'll create what you want in life, no matter what it is. Meditating and the way that it mixes everything good for you together. So the way that not only do you become aware of your breath becomes naturally better because you get less stress, right? Your body becomes less inflamed and less stressed, and your mind becomes less inflamed and less stressed. And so then, in tandem, it becomes easier to focus on your breath, right? And everything just gets better all at once. It's literally the magic pill. It's literally the magic pill that everyone wants, that there's no cost benefit. Not even for the time spent. Not even for the time spent. Guys, I'm going to get nice and fucking rich like I've always wanted to when I was young. When I was 18. And then by 23, I had lost that path in the system fully. And I knew something was wrong. And I started meditating my way out of it. And I'm 29 now, and I know it's going to happen now. I'm finally going to get the wealth that I want. I'm finally going to become the man that I want to be. I can do it now. I understand how to build it. I understand how to create it. I know the steps to do it, the tools to do it, right? I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. I just know that I'm going to do it. And just in that, just having that, and I will stay present. And in doing that, I'll create what I want in my life. Automatically. And people talk about law of attraction, and they get all on this, you're going to sit right here in this one spot and just attract the dream life right to you. And they don't talk about the fact that you got to move towards it in the physical world. If you create it on the mental and spiritual plane, you're going to come back to the physical plane a little bit more when you open your fucking eyes. When you stop imagining, when you stop visualizing, when you stop meditating. You're going to come back to the physical world. And now you've energetically, spiritually, mentally pulled this thing closer to you with your fucking mind. That mind power that's beyond the body. You've pulled it closer to you. Now in the physical world, to solidify it, you move towards it. And then it comes to you even faster, right? It's like the mass of your physical action moving on the mental plane that you set up. That mass just pulls, it gets caught in your gravitational pull as this life is just circulating around that you could be living. This life you have in your mind, you pull it closer to yourself and you move closer to it at the same time. And you just pull it right the fuck in. Because you're working on all the fucking planes that you exist on. right? You're meditating, so you're getting into the mental, spiritual, energetic planes that you have as a human. And then in the physical world, you take action on it and you make it happen. And your life begins to mold. So I've been meditating more recently, and I want to make some money. And this morning I was doing some push-ups. And right as I was finishing my set, I realized that my mind, I was thinking about closing a deal. And I was like rehearsing it in my head of me being on the computer system, wrapping things up. Deal's already done. So today, a lady comes up looking at me. She basically walked up to me and I just said, "Hey, how's it going?" And she was an $800 deal. So I've been meditating, trying to create this, because I've been in a drought at work. And I knew something inside of me was wrong. So I dug into meditation and said, I'll figure it out there. And I've just been imagining and creating. And I came out of it knowing I'm going to make $3K a week. That was like the number I came out with of my first level, that like, I'm going to start making $3K a week. And I'm not going to have to fucking super grind my balls off to where it's not sustainable. It's going to be smooth that I make $3K a week. I don't have to do too much grinding because I'm working in meditation to bring it towards me, right? So that lady came. Beautiful. Happened today. I was doing the push-ups and I knew it was going to happen. And it was more money than what I had in my mind when I got up from doing the push-ups. I had 700 in my mind. 800 came. Also, my girlfriend called me tonight, and she said that it wasn't my phone number, but she got a voicemail, and the dude sounded like me. And he said her name, she heard some random noises, and then it hung up. Hey, man, I don't even know where that came from, because I ain't even been thinking about her. That just came from the ether, out of nowhere. Really, I've just been thinking that I want a fucking woman. That's it, yeah. I want a fucking girl. So, she called me. I started to not even answer, but I thought, well, maybe she's gonna like die or something. So I picked up and it was nothing. Of course. Of fucking course. I'm the retard. Alright, enough of that. So, the dream that I had this dream about 10 days ago, and it was a very simple dream. You know, I've talked about a couple of my dreams. I've had a dream about lust. I've had a dream about gluttony. And one thing I've realized after this third dream is that your dreams are extremely important. And this dream happens around the time that I'm meditating more. And your dreams are communicating a message to you, but it takes a level of intuition to understand what the message is. So the last dream that I had, I was watching a group of kids, maybe 8 kids, all playing together. Just in a little scene, they had like little tables around them and toys. They were all, you know, just running around chatting and playing with toys like kids do. 8 of them. And they were all kind of contained in a area that, you know, they were very close to each other. They didn't have a lot of space to move around. They were close to each other, right? But they were all like 5-year-old kids. And I saw all these kids, and there was one kid that had a specific glow to him. There was something about him that was different from all the other kids. And he had a very specific glow to him. And then I realized that it was me. I was looking at myself and I was the kid with the glow compared to all the other kids. And then I woke up and the dream ended. So, like I said, there's always some type of message to the dream. And I'm going to say what I think it might have been. Anyone else can say what they interpret it as through the comments. But my interpretation of it was, well, when I was a kid in school, my teachers, I had a teacher tell me one time that she really needed me to behave on this particular day. I know now that she was likely on her period and having a bad day, and she needed me to behave. And she told me in a somewhat desperate tone that when I behave, I remember I didn't look at her. I didn't look at her, I just listened to her. And I was just looking at my desk. And she said, when I behave, all the other kids behave. And when I misbehave, everyone else misbehaves. So she really needed me to be good that day. And I was relatively good that day. But when I was a kid, I would have dreams that I was the second coming of Jesus. I would just wake up and I would start questioning myself of like, well, am I the second coming of Jesus? Like, what is going on? And I remember I went and took a shower one time. I had this dream multiple times where I would just wake up and I'd have that question in my mind. I don't even know what the dream was, but I just knew that I was dreaming. And I would have that question in my mind. And I remember showering one time and I put it away. I fully put it away. Right? At first it was a question and I fully put it away that I was not the second coming of Jesus, because the Catholic Church, I was raised in I went to a Catholic school from kindergarten to 5th grade. This happened in that time when I was a young boy, and I pushed it away because you can't say that. Well, here I am, 29 years old. I have this dream, and I realize that I am special. And I've always been very special. And there is a specific path that I have been meant to be born onto this planet to fulfill. I do change the temperature of the room in every room that I go in. Whether I want to or not, I can make people behave or misbehave. Whether I want to or not. That was a responsibility I had to take on when I was meditating, that I realized that people follow me whether I choose or not. So I may as well choose so I can lead people to a righteous place. So I had this dream, and it also ties into, I'm going to tell y'all something insane. So one of my brothers is 2 years older than me. And my father, when I was a child, always called me a miracle child. And then I got into high school, started having sex with girls, and I realized I was an accident. So I realized how kids were made. So I thought that was funny. My dad always called me a miracle, but actually I was an accident. And I would crack that joke to people, and they loved it. They loved it. Then, one time I was visiting home for Christmas, and my mother told me, I was 21, that when my brother was born, 2 years and 1 day before me, that her tubes were tied by the doctor that delivered my brother. 2 years, 1 day later, the doctor delivers me. It's the same doctor that delivered my brother, and he delivers me for free because he was worried that my parents were going to sue. because maybe he messed something up. And I'm older now. And now I know why my father said that I was a miracle baby. So, gentlemen, you're on this earth for a reason as well. Everyone is. I think the only reason that I had that dream and I've been special is because I was supposed to realize this stuff early in life. How much more life do I have? How much more am I going to know? I started at 23, much younger than most people, and it was a legitimate habit at 23. Daily. Every single day, never missed a fucking day, no matter what. And I kept increasing my time. Now I can sit down for an hour whenever I want. Not saying it's easy, but I can do it. So, gentlemen, it's time for all of you to start meditating too, so you can realize who you actually are. And all the things that are fucked up with the system that we're in can be corrected if we all realize who we truly are. If we all step into our power even more and realize that, everything we need to realize so we can create the life that we want to create. When we do that and we realize that we can create and we do create our lives, we'll create a completely different life that'll be better. All right, gentlemen, that's going to be all. Like the video, comment what you think, subscribe to the channel. Have a great day.